back to my awesome guest today. My guest is Pili Yurusi. She's a loving mom of three and a wife whose goal is lead with aloha by example. I love that phrase, lead with aloha. Pili is a co-founder and operator of Yurusi Holding LLC with her husband, Jason. And they have exited multiple properties, the multifamily properties. And we're going to be talking about that today. Welcome, Pili. I'm super excited to have you.
So excited to be here. Aloha, everyone. Really, really excited to be on your podcast, to be talking to you. I can't wait to share.
I'm going to start with my favorite question. So tell me, how do you see yourself at present, professionally as well as personally?
How do I see myself at present? What an amazing question. Because like we talked about this before, how we see ourselves is what we portray, right? It's all mindset. Mm-hmm. Everything that's in your brain comes out of your mouth. Everything that comes out of your mouth or that you portray on the internet, that's how people see you. So how do I see myself? It comes down to what you just read on my bio. I lead with aloha. It's in my name. My entire name is Pili Aloha. And in the Hawaiian language, that means close love. Another word for friendship, another word for just being close. Another word in Hawaiian is to be like pili pa'a, is like very, very close. So my name, I can't get away from it. It means love. It means to be close to other people. It means to bring people in. It means to share. When you hear the word aloha, and a lot of people out there think it's like hello or goodbye. And the Hawaiian people use it as hello, goodbye as well. But the thing is, it means so much more than that. It's like if somebody tells you aloha, it's like they're telling you love. Mm-hmm. Simply that. So that's how I see myself. Wow. I am my name. I see myself as Pili Aloha. I am the person that my mother named me. So I thank you, Mom, for giving me such an amazing name. But that's how I see myself, like personally and in business. The thing is, who I am personally, I bring into business every single day, because if you can't portray yourself as actually you, then who are you really being, right? So that's true. Living with aloha, entering a room with aloha, entering a room or a podcast or social media with all the aloha that I have in my heart is really, really important to me. Because if I don't enter a room with all the aloha that I can give, then should I even be entering that room? Should I be on that podcast? Should I be giving anything less than who I am? I think not. I think I am meant, and I was put on this world to be me. So that's who I'm going to be, and that's who I see myself as.
Very well said. I mean, that's the purpose of life. Like aloha means love. Love is life.
Love is life.
I'm super happy to learn about the term aloha, that is more than hello and hi. Mm-hmm. Just like I'm going to mention, in India, we say namaste. Namaste, like people say hello and hi. But namaste is much more than that. It's just like I bow to your soul, like, to your inner self, who you are. That's very important.
That is, it's the same kind of word, like the word shalom means so much more. It means peace. It means hi. It means goodbye. It means so much more. Namaste means so much more than just hello and goodbye or to enter and exit a room. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with aloha. Aloha means so much more than just a greeting. It's a state of being, and it's also me giving you a part of me. It's me saying, you know what, no matter what's happening in your day, no matter how you are, here is just some love, even if it's a word. And our words have power. So here's some power for you in your day. Aloha.
That's so true. You said it very well, because word has power. And then by saying the right words at the right time, you're emitting the right kind of energy, or you're giving the right kind of energy to the other person. And it's up to that person how he or she perceives that energy or perceives that word or whatever meaning they make out of it. That's very important too. And accordingly, they respond or react to it.
Exactly. So like I could say aloha in a mean way. It's also the feeling behind it. Like if you don't have that feeling, if you say a word, but you don't mean it, people are going to feel that. So even though the word has power, it's the feeling, it's the you that you put behind it. So just coming back to your question, you asked me like how I see myself. I see myself sort of as a like personification of that word. And in order to live up to my name, I need to imbue myself with all the love, with all the energy that I can when I enter into spaces, when I give parts of me, because I fully, and this comes back to who I am, I fully expect this in return. I might not get it from one person or a group of people, but the energy you put out into the universe, the energy that you give up to God, the universe gives back, God gives back, whoever, whatever you believe in, it comes back to you. So put out love. What do you think you're going to get back? Love or the opportunity to share more love.
That's so true. That's so true. And you get 10 folds back, not even one fold, whatever you give out. So always give out good things.
That would be nice.
Tell me a little bit about your background and how did you become who you are today?
Whew. So we're going to go that far back. Okay. I'm originally born in Hawaii. I don't know if you got that from the Aloha part. So born and raised in Hawaii, Hilo, Hawaii, on the Big Island, or Moko Keawe, depending on who you ask. Moved around the Hawaiian Islands. My mom was a single mom until I was 8, where she met my real dad. I always call him my real dad because he fell in love with me as well as my mom.
Nice.
They met each other in church in Maui. And from there on, and there's a reason I bring him up, from there on in, my life took a turn because I went from moving around, really like my family is one of those families where you believe in the village raises the child. I was raised by my aunts, my grandmother, my grandfather, my great aunts. Like I thought the entire island of the Big Island and Maui, I thought they were both all filled with my family members, because we don't believe in saying like calling adults by their first name. It's either auntie or uncle.
Or in my culture.
Or if they're like teachers, it was Mr. or Mrs., but mostly everybody was auntie or uncle. So I thought it was related to everyone. So my mom and we had an amazing life. I had an amazing life growing up. I never knew that I never wanted for anything. Yeah, I didn't have the best clothes. I didn't always go to the best schools. Although somehow my mom, being a single mom, scraped up the money to send me to Catholic school for a few years. I was never wanting for anything because my mom, I think, also imbued me with an awesome name, but I was always surrounded by love. I was very, very, very lucky in that instance. I have a very loving family and they are amazing. So growing up with my stepfather and have my sister and brother, and we were an amazing family. My father was very, very entrepreneurial. His side of the family actually had real estate. Of course, growing up as a teenager, you don't really pay attention. So I didn't realize that my grandfather on that side and my dad also would put in these these entrepreneurial thoughts into my brain, these thoughts that I can do it and I will do it and I will take the steps to get this done. I ended up, fast forward a little bit, I went to college. I ended up getting my liberal studies degree, also a degree in English, which I think I still use I'm stuttering, so I might not actually use the English language very well. But I did not go to school for what I ended up doing. So I moved to New York when I was younger. I thought I was going to do Shakespeare for the rest of my life. I ended up bartending. The reason why this is very important is because I ended up working at a restaurant called the Frying Pan on Chelsea Piers. If anyone's in New York City, it's also called Pier 63 Maritime. You've probably been there if you live in New York. Huge, huge popular place. So my husband and I meet there in 2003. We don't know that we're going to get married because we don't actually get together until 2012. I moved to California. I come back. He's managing when I come back. I take the role back from him. We start managing together. We're butting heads, but we're learning how to work together during this time. And bartenders, we usually work in close quarters. So we're learning how to interact together. I make the best friends. And 2012, the ending of 2012, we finally see each other.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, our relationship starts and it's a whirlwind for a year. Hurricane Sandy has also happened. And Jason's background is in construction. His family has been in the house lifting business for years. Like depending on who you ask or how you ask his father, it might be 40, might be 50, he might even say 80, but he's like 70 something. So why this is important is because we end up helping his father out. Actually, Jason ends up becoming vice president of the company in the following years. And I start helping out, learning about construction, learning about just working with customers in that field. A year passes. We work our last year being bartenders, restaurant managers, and we end up deciding we want to start a family. I say, no more restaurant work. What are we going to do? So we sit down with the family and we decide to get into real estate. I get my real estate license during my first trimester, which was really hard, but I got it done. And then we take down our first flip, which ends up being, back when we used to flip, we used to do these huge flips. And this is how we started our first flip. We would buy these flood-ridden, single-story Cape Cod homes. And when I went through this house, actually, this was actually a 2-story home. I remember going through this house for the first time and just being heartbroken because Hurricane Sandy decimated the Jersey Shore, like decimated the Jersey Shore. We're still lifting homes in New Jersey to this day. So what we used to do, we used to take the home, lift it up once, and then lift it up twice. And then we would add a new first story and a garage underneath it.
Oh,
basically adding intense amount of value to this home and basically creating almost a new build.
mm-hmm.
But the thing is, what we didn't realize, especially when we first got in, how long it was going to take.
Mm-hmm.
And then the permit process was ridiculous, like ridiculous. Imagine you're like a small town government. You have maybe a dozen permit pulls per month. It went from like a dozen to like hundreds because of Hurricane Sandy. So our first flip took us about a year to complete. We still made money, but it took us a long time to complete. It's beautiful. The funny thing is I just looked at it not 3 days ago. And because of appreciation, there have been 2 owners since we sold it back in 2014. And both times those owners sold, they actually made a large profit on the house just because property value has just skyrocketed in that area. So it actually makes me happy to know people are still profiting on the work we did.
Wow, that's an awesome journey. So tell me, how did you end up in multifamily?
Okay, so we were in the flipping and wholesaling industries for a while. So we were flipping. We finally joined a mentorship program called 7-Figure Flipping that took our business basically to the next level. We started wholesaling and we were doing really, really well. I'm at this RIA meeting and it's going pretty well. a guy starts talking about turnkey properties. And I was like, that doesn't sound like something we want to do, because Jason and I are very, very hands-on. We don't like to put the hammer down. We like to do things ourselves. So he's like, no, just sit down. Let's talk about it. You guys should be getting into rental properties. You've talked a little bit about what you're doing in flipping. Passive income is the way to go. Like, we didn't have any buy and holds at this time. We didn't have any rentals. So I talked to him. I'm like, okay, send me a few deals. He sends me a couple of deals, and Jason's like, well, why don't we start looking at some duplexes, maybe some fourplexes? So I asked him for those. I was like, can you send me some duplexes or fourplexes? And he's like, sure. So he sends us these, and we're like, okay, we'll do this, but let's partner up. You can do the construction, you can do all this. I want a discount because this is all stuff that I can do myself. But it was all out of state.
Mm-hmm.
It was in Indiana. So he already had the management team in place. He already had the construction team in place. And I was like, well, we're going to basically manage the managers. The reason why this is important is because this is our start into asset management.
That's true.
We didn't know it yet, though, because we were managing the manager.
Mm-hmm.
So they take care of that. The numbers, we end up getting 2 duplexes in Indiana, and this is 2016. And the numbers end up being around 22% ROI when all was said and done. And at the ending of the 2016, we kind of like looked at each other and we were like, do we want to scale this? Because we could, like, our partner kept on asking us, do you want to buy more? Do you want to buy more? I was like, well, it does make sense. But the thing is, it was having so many difficulties, like tax wise and like financial wise, that we're just like, well, this is not as passive as we thought it was going to be. Again, with asset management, not as passive as you think it's going to be. So I'm pregnant with our second child. We have now a construction company. I'm a realtor. We have our flipping business. We have our wholesaling business, which, you know, those are 2 different businesses. And Jason one day stops me, we're having dinner, and he's like, Pili, I just talked to, and I've been researching this thing called multifamily. I was like, yeah, I heard about it. It's, you know, getting into rentals. So that's what we're doing. He's like, no, we have 2 duplexes. And we had also gotten a family property down in Alabama. We have these properties, but what if we could do like 40 units, 400 units, and 4,000 units? Just think of the economies of scale with that. And it was a term that he had just learned. And I was just like, my pregnant little body, like waddling away. I'm just like, no, absolutely not. No, we cannot take on another business. So a little like side information about Jason and I'm more risk adverse than he is. Like, I need to know things. I need to, like, I look before I jump. So does Jason, but he takes bigger risks, and he will like study it until it can be studied, but he knows when to act and not to let analysis paralysis paralyze him. Whereas I'll like stand there, especially pregnant, just paralyzed. So I basically tell him no, effectively cutting off what is our business now. He says, you know what? I researched this mentor. Let's jump in with him and let's get educated before you say no. We have the money from flipping and wholesaling. We can jump in with this mentor. You know, worst comes to worst, we'll just learn a whole bunch of awesome things. So we ended up jumping in with Joe Fairless. And this was back in 2016. Jump in with Joe. 6 months later, we take down our first large multifamily. And that was in Kentucky. And it's been a whirlwind since then, because after that first large acquisition, we actually ended up closing our flipping and wholesaling businesses. And I am finally like taking myself out of being a full-time realtor. So yeah, we are multifamily full-time. We still invest passively in single family and other types of assets, but multifamily is our bread and butter.
Good. So your first deal in Kentucky that you did, that was just you and Jason, or did you partner up with somebody else?
No, we had partners. We actually partnered up with one of Jason's best friends from high school who also worked for, I believe it was Reese at the time. So he had access to a lot of information, which we got the benefit from. So we partnered up with him. He was another new real, he was an agent as well, but he was new to multifamily. So we created a partnership with him.
So is it like a joint venture or syndication?
No, we syndicated this first deal. And if you're asking if we like partnered up with like a bigger firm, no, we didn't. It's been us the whole way through.
So when you syndicated, you raises capital too at that time. So was that hard, or you had enough context due to your flipping and rehab business before?
So yes, we actually learned a really, really good mindset from the very, very beginning is just to start talking about what you're doing. So we actually had this conversation, and people that I've talked to, I hope you're listening, because what I tell you is true. Have that mock deal, tell people about it. So we had our mock deal. We were telling people about it, especially people that we already knew in real estate, our friends and family, which can be a hard discussion because the no that comes from them tends to hurt a little bit more. But the thing is, we had the discussions. So when we went in and told people, you know what, that deal that we told you we wanted to get, this new type of real estate that we're super excited to be in, we finally got the deal. So they already knew about our excitement. They could already like base their, I guess, quote judgment on things that we'd already done. Jason has been known to have successful ventures in the past. They base it on like myself being a successful realtor. They could base it on things that we were already doing. Even though this was our first syndication, they could see that we had entrepreneurial backgrounds, that we had past successes. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is for anyone out there that's trying to get in or thinking about getting into multifamily, think about it this way. Like, think about the successes that you've had in the past and lean on that. Be you. There's no one else like you. So why not just be you? So that's how we did it. Was it difficult? I don't remember it being difficult. It was our first one. So yes, it was different. But because we followed the steps of someone who had already done it before us, it wasn't as difficult as it could have been. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. Actually, I agree with you. Like you said, that you followed somebody else. Like I say all the time, I say to everybody that there is no possible way that we can experience everything in this lifetime, or we can make all the mistakes ourselves because life is so short. We have to learn from others' successes or failures to carve our path. And there's no point of reinventing the wheels because there's no possible way that anything has not done yet, whatever you're thinking of. Somebody has already done that somewhere in this world. You just need to just follow that path or tweak it according to your needs and make a success for you.
Exactly. One of my favorite coaches used to tell me this all the time, and I will give it to your audience. Success leaves clues. So Tony Robbins said that, but I got it from my coach, Trevor McGregor. Success leaves clues. So follow success. Look for those clues. And if it doesn't work for you, keep on looking. Open up another door.
That's so true.
One day you'll find that door that will actually open for you, and it'll be the door that you need. Stop banging your head against the brick wall.
That's so true. And the plus is failure is not even a failure either. That's an opportunity for you to try again.
Exactly.
Maybe
I love that word.
Not meant for you. Maybe there is another door because you need to tweak it according to your personality, according to your understanding, your perception, what you want. You cannot just blindly be somebody like, I want to be Pili today. It's not going to happen, right? I can follow your path.
It's like, I can't be Tony Robbins. I can't be Joe Fairless. I can't be like, so many people don't do what they want. And I've been a part of this too. Like, I won't do something, or sometimes I'll get like this bad mindset of just like, and just thinking like, well, I can't be as as that person is. Of course I can't, because I am me. It comes back to your first question. How do you see yourself?
That's so true.
That person, everyone, be that person, be you, just be you. And be that you that learns and digests and then follow the steps other people are taking. But the thing is, tweak it to make it your own. And like you said, success doesn't exist except in our head. Defeat doesn't exist except in our head. Yes, we might not get first, we might not get that prize, but the thing is, what we do get is a lesson. So what we need to do, and in that lesson, we can win, right? So winning from that lesson, learning from that lesson, either adjust your path accordingly or do something to learn from whatever it is that you quote failed from. Just staying there and not taking that step forward because of fear, that's failure. And I'm going to add this: success can also lead to failure too. Because if you sit in that success, for instance, if my husband and I, if Jason and I had just sat in that first success, because that was pretty massive for two new people to multifamily to do. We went from 2 duplexes to a 94 unit in 6 months. But if we had just talked about that and not continued on our way, we wouldn't have over 12 syndications under our belt. We wouldn't have the numbers that we do if we had just sat there. But no, we took that success. We celebrated, because I believe in celebrating successes, but we also learned from it. Because within that success, there's so much to learn from. What went wrong? What went right? What can we take to the next? And getting that first deal propelled us into our second, our third, into our fourth, and so on. So learn not only from your failures, but your successes too.
Very well said. So let's talk about your exits. I know you have done multiple exits, full circles. So what was that experience like? Whenever you go out, syndicate a deal, you're talking to the investors, they wanted to know, have you done a complete cycle? And having at your place, having completed multiple cycles, how does it feel? Or how did you do it?
How does it feel? Well, number one, we followed the steps other people have taken, and we kept on it. And we're actually, my husband, his asset management, although I help him with it, it's not my strength. My strength is actually in the capital raise, although I don't like that word, and we can talk about that later. But back to the successful exits. How did I feel about it? Let's go back to that pregnant Pili, because we have 3 now, but that was our second. We started multifamily when I was pregnant with our second. So now I was running after a toddler, pregnant. Now we have 5 or 6 businesses, including multifamily. She was so proud. Just looking forward into that future of being able to exit these amazing businesses and provide our investors with not only the opportunity, but the return on their capital plus some. We actually did better than we had in our underwriting. So we had very, very happy investors. We had very, very happy tenants. When we left the property, we left it better than what we had started with, eons better. So having that actual exit was just proof that we were doing the right thing. We got to help so many people. Our investors got to make money on their money. Our tenants got to live in safer places. I mean, I have a story of actually that first multifamily that we had. It wasn't our building, it was the building next door that had a lot of crime, like shooting even. And our building complained to us, of course, and our property management's just like, I don't know what to do about this building, because it wasn't that bad when we first moved in. So Jason, he's a bulldog. He kept on calling, whoever he needed to call, the police department in Kentucky, until he finally got to talk to a detective. And finally that detective was like, well, we know about that building. We are doing our best. We have, patrol. And they actually come with the idea that if we are able to, we can give them an apartment. We can give them one of our apartments to use and do a stakeout of the building. So that's what we ended up doing. We actually gave them, and yes, we took a loss at this, but the thing is, we got to make the entire neighborhood safer by allowing these detectives to do a stakeout in one of our apartments, and it happened to be an apartment that they could see right into the neighboring apartment. So not only did we get to clean up our apartment, give our tenants a safer place to live, we got to give the community a safer place to live. So those are some things that you have to look for when you're a multifamily provider, when you're in asset management. How can you not only improve your building, but how can you improve the community? How can you improve the community for everyone that lives there? I mean, yes, we have a fiduciary duty to our investors, but nothing gets done. No one gets paid. No one gets to shout out all these numbers, millions of dollars, assets under management, blah, 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 unless we take care of our tenants first. So by taking care of them, we were able to exit these properties actually earlier than we thought, because we had underwritten into 5 and 7 years. We ended up actually exiting that around the 2-year mark. Actually, I think even before then. So by taking care of them, we were able to take care of our investors, and being able to exit these properties just gives us the proof that we are able to do this, and able to do this in a really, really dynamic and amazing way.
What a great move. We are out of time. I would love to talk to you. I have so many things. But before I move on to my next round, I wanted to ask you one golden nugget from my audience.
Fantastic. One golden nugget. I'm just going to go back to be you.
That's my favorite one.
This entire podcast is about, because you started off with that question. How do you see yourself? Everyone, just be you.
That's my favorite golden nugget. And I've shared it multiple times as well. So this brings us to our final round, the rapid fire round. I'm going to ask you 5 questions. You're going to answer in 1 word or 1 sentence only. Are you ready?
Yes.
Who was the most influential person in your life?
My mom.
What is the best book you have read or recommend?
It's actually the book that I'm reading right now. It is, I actually have it right here. Here's the Plan, Your Practical Tactical Guide to Advancing Your Career During Pregnancy and Parenthood by Allison Downey. She is an amazing woman I found on Twitter.
Nice. So what is your biggest passion?
My biggest passion, just kind of playing with my kids. I don't know if that can be a passion, but that's it. I love playing with my kids.
That's very important. And I like that. In 1 word, what does life mean to you?
Aloha.
I love that. And I knew that you're going to say it. Because there's nothing more than that in this life.
Nope.
What is your favorite food?
My favorite food. Well, right now, and I'm a person that's in the space, Indian food. I haven't had good Indian food in a really long time. And talking to you has made me really hungry.
How can people reach out to you?
You can find me at my website, www.yarusiholdings.com. Or if you're looking to invest, if you're looking for more information about what I do in multifamily, you can also check out www.7figuremultifamily.com. That's 7, the number 7, figuremultifamily.com.
Thank you so much, Pili. I really enjoyed the time with you.
Thank you so much, Aloha, to you and your listeners.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Stay tuned for another episode next week with another awesome guest.
you.